All right, wave weather now. I'm wave meteorologist Ryan Hoke here, and we are tracking some very heavy rain now moving through the Louisville metro area. It is a wave weather alert day because of the strong storm potential, and formerly because of the heat. This is extinguishing the heat and now giving us the potential for some flash flooding. We've already seen some tremendous flash flooding out to our west. I don't think it'll be as bad as what we've seen in Du Bois County for the rest of the night, however, which is good. But there's still some opportunity to see some problems with these very tremendously high rainfall rates. Look at the Louisville SkyTrack camera from Jeffersonville now. Wow. In fact, we could not even see the 2nd Street Bridge here about 2 minutes ago. Starting to see some of the outline here of the Louisville Metro skyline as this very heavy rain continues to move on in. We can also change this to see other SkyTrack cameras that we have. We've got one at Kentucky Kingdom here that we're putting up now, and you'll see that popping up. And boy, hard to see anything out that way right now. New Albany, of course, is coming up on your screen as well, just to show you what the storm looks like on the other side of the river too. And you'll see New Albany starting to dry out. So that's kind of how things stand right now. We get you to Bardstown, where they haven't seen the storms yet. And there you go. You can see that they've got some of that anvil shield kind of coming overhead there from the cirrus clouds from the actual storms to the north, starting to move down that direction, but they have not arrived down there yet. And then finally, on our little tour of SkyTrack cameras, we're going to take you to the outlet shops, the Bluegrass, where the rain has not started here quite yet. So that's a look at what it looks like outside. Here's a look at our forecast here. Of course, we've got the very heavy rainfall potential all the way through about 9, 10 o'clock this evening, especially south of Louisville overnight. Lesser of a storm threat here. The alert day is until late tonight. We may be able to let this go early if these storms kind of fall apart and the flash flooding threat also falls apart with them. That would be a little closer to midnight. But here we are with the storms now moving through the Louisville metro on the Doppler radar view here. And if we zoom in, you'll see it's pretty much cutting the city in half at this point. I'll remove the satellite view so you can see a little bit better the contrast here of what this looks like as it's moving through. There we go. J-Town, your next areas near Fern Creek and McNeely Lake. You're also next Springhurst. You guys are getting it now. What we can do here is pop up some of the rainfall totals that we've had today, because they have been just tremendous, especially out to our west here. We'll be able to show you, there we go, the rainfall totals as they pop onto the screen here. Where you see those yellow spots, that's over 2 inches of rain. Where you see orange, that's over 4 inches of rain. My goodness, the Jasper area today picking up just a ton of rainfall. I mean, we're talking 3+ inches out that way. You see 2.5 in southeastern Du Bois County right now. We've had 5 inches just north and west of English in Crawford County here. And as you even if you go up toward northwest of the Knobs in Floyd County, over 1.5 inches already. Areas a little closer to Corydon, picking up so far today 3.4 inches. Again, these are Doppler radar estimates. These are not actual rain gauges. We don't have a mesonet network of rain gauges in Indiana. Indiana, get on that, like we do in Kentucky, to get us sort of those real-time rain gauge estimates there. What also we can do here is put on the storm reports, because those have been just incredibly sobering today coming out of the Jasper area here. We'll zoom in, and I'll make these a little bigger as well so they're a little easier to see. We usually make them small just so that we can have a lot of them on the screen at once here, but because there have been so few, it's a little harder to see them, but you can see these storm reports here. And as we zoom on in, where we've had some of the issues today, just north of Jasper, we've had entrapment in apartments. We've had at least 2 submerged vehicles in parts of the Jasper area. Again, this is Du Bois County, Indiana, we're talking about here. There's one submerged vehicle, 16th and Mill Street there. You'll notice Ireland, Indiana. They had flooding on State Road 56 in the Ireland area a little earlier this evening. We also had some wind damage out there with trees and power lines down in the Ireland area. Again, that's just west of Jasper in Du Bois County. And finally, we've got roads underwater reported in Jasper. That was all a couple hours ago, but I just wanted to show you just how tremendous some of the flooding has been with those reports out that way. We've also got the power here to show you the flood reports coming in from citizen weather observers as well through MPING. That's MPING. That is the Mesoscale Precipitation Identification Near Ground Project here, and not mesoscale, but meteorological. And you'll see they've had, of course, some of those reports from out that way. Nothing closer to home here in Louisville yet. We've had one report of some street flooding up in North Vernon today, but as these storms move through the Louisville area, I do expect at least some street flooding and urban small stream flooding reports to come in here from these thunderstorms. Also, wind damage has not been that big of a deal today, thankfully. I don't think it's going to become a big deal. This is mainly a heavy rain and flash flooding scenario that we've been seeing. These are the wind damage reports, and really can't see any from MPING -1 there just east of English, which was just kind of some trash cans and patio furniture shifted around. So this is the big picture view here. This kind of makes it look small, doesn't it? But that's what's happening. It's this line of storms that's now pressing through the Louisville metro here. We've got flash flood warnings across parts of southwest Indiana from Evansville proper into still Du Bois County, western Crawford County, southwest Orange County, northwest parts and northern parts of Perry County at this point under those flash flood warnings at this time. Comment if you've had any sort of flooding in your area or any sort of storm damage here. Again, I don't expect the wind damage threat to be the biggest. I think it's going to be the flash flooding here. We've got so many folks in here this evening on social media, over 800 viewers. Thank you guys. I can see all your comments here. And if you're watching on Wave Weather now, I'll read those comments. Our 24/7 live stream can't show the comments, but we can show those on YouTube and other social media here. Shonda says, I am in downtown Jeffersonville at the moment where it is pouring. No surprise there. It should be based on what we've seen on the radar and, of course, on their on the SkyTrack cameras today. Hey, I do want to dispel something here. Jocelyn, the weather enthusiast, says they saw a supercell-like storm structure before the storms rolled in. That was not a supercell. That was a shelf cloud, and that's usually associated with a line of storms. A shelf cloud in and of itself is innocuous. It's not a big deal because it's basically marking where you get the rain-cooled air and the warm air kind of interfacing with one another, and it makes kind of a scary-looking shelf cloud, but really doesn't mean much more than, hey, rain-cooled air is on the way. Can sometimes mean damaging winds, but not always here. So let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Everybody's just kind of talking about let's see. Sue says, thanks for the update. You're very welcome. Melissa says, the airport, Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport is getting hit hard right now. We just showed that camera from Kentucky Kingdom, literally just a few hundred yards away from the airport. And yes, that is exactly what's going on down that way. Marianne Carney says, my rain gauge in Memphis, Indiana is at 3/4 of an inch and the heavy rain has stopped sprinkling now. That's some good news to see that rainfall total is under an inch. What has been happening here as these storms have been kind of accelerating and pressing to the south, that has been limiting the residence time of the storms over one particular area. So that's limiting the flood threat somewhat by getting those storms in and out quicker. And, the rainfall rates aren't as bad as they were a little earlier in Jasper, thankfully. So that's why this is not like a catastrophic situation for Louisville, which is good. But it's one that perks your ears up, kind of, makes your hair stand on end a little bit, because super heavy rainfall rates moving into a big metro area of 1.2 million people is never a good thing, especially when folks, might be kind of done with work for the holiday here and are wanting to be out and about, wanting to eat dinner, go out and grill out with friends here. And here comes a big old line of storms, right? That's never a good scenario when something like that is going on here. Trey on YouTube says, gnarly looking shelf cloud blowing through Fern Creek. That's the one we showed you on Wave News at 7 from our SkyTrack camera there. We might be able to show you a time lapse of that, by the way. I think I do have that available here Give me a second. You'll see the radar freeze as I try to pull this up here. But we've got time-lapse videos from all 10 of our SkyTrack cameras loaded in our computer system here so that you can see exactly what's happened over the past 4 hours here. And hopefully this computer will agree with me and load some of this video here. I think we'll be able to get it loaded up here. Let's see if it's going to give me what I want. But anyway, while we're waiting for that to load up here, Cameron Contz is on the line here. Says, if it stays warm and humid, could we see more rain tomorrow than right now in the storms? Possible, especially early in the day tomorrow, I think is when our heaviest rainfall would happen and our most, sort of prolific rainfall is going to be most widespread morning versus afternoon. Remy saying, when is the storms coming to Elk Creek, Kentucky? Yeah, you guys will be pretty short order here, probably within the next 15, 20 minutes. Okay, I've got the SkyTrack time lapses here loaded up, and here we go. And it's going to be loading up here in just a second. And you can see this is over the past 4 hours. Here comes that shelf cloud. In fact, you can see the anvil shield overhead, and then the shelf cloud cuts in under it, boom, and then it hits the camera there. That is always kind of a really neat view to see something like that from our SkyTrack camera there, and that is in Louisville. In fact, I'll try to freeze frame that and show you another SkyTrack camera here in just a second. Boom. You can kind of see where that shelf cloud was. Let's get you another view here from Jeffersonville. Again, this is a time lapse over the last 4 hours. Here comes the big shelf cloud. You'll see it from the right to the left, and boom, man, look at that. It basically stops right when the heaviest of the rain moved into the metro here, and just quite a sight there from our network of SkyTrack cameras. We've got 10 of these things strategically placed with a good western sky view here so that you can see weather like that moving in. Love it when we're able to share with you active weather when that happens on our SkyTrack cameras like this one here in New Albany. Just to give you another Indiana view, I'm going to spin this one around. Boom, and you can see that's the shelf cloud there hitting there. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more, kind of pressing forward about how our weather is going to be. We've kind of addressed what's happening now, super heavy rainfall rates happening here in the Louisville metro area. We are technically under a slight risk of severe weather this evening. I think that is pretty much out of our hair. I think any sort of wind damage threat has been realized and is over with. This is mainly just a very heavy rain potential here. So what about after the storms? Once they get out of here, we will be a bit drier for the overnight hours. We'll see a few scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, but it's going to be additional thunderstorms early in the day on Thursday that may cause you some problems. Maybe you're trying to get to the grocery store with 5,000 other people trying to get your food there for your grill out in the evening. It may be in rainy conditions that you're doing that, and very heavy rain and thunderstorms at that in the morning hours around midday or so. Then after midday here on our Thursday for the 4th of July, things will get a little bit calmer. Now, what I'm showing you here is the North American Mesoscale model, the NAM model. This has been performing a little bit better than the HRRR for you model weather nerds out there today. I think this is going to be a little bit closer to what happens here. Mid-morning, midday, pretty heavy rain moving through. But by noontime, hey, things are getting a little drier. And by the afternoon, we're in great shape. I think we'll be in good shape for most of the day. The one thing we'll have to watch for, the one caveat on that, is that we'll see some thunderstorms trying to refire behind that initial morning and midday line of rain by the time we reach sort of like 9, 10, 11 o'clock. But I think that would be well north and west of Louisville during that crucial fireworks time frame. So most of us will be dry for the fireworks. We'll just keep an eye to the radar to see if this stuff gets in a little closer to us during that crucial period. But I don't think it will. For now, we're going to keep a 20 to 30% chance of scattered isolated thunderstorms in our forecast for the fireworks time frame here on our Independence Day. So that's kind of the outlook there for the 4th of July. Then finally, this front that's going to be around here for tonight and tomorrow lifts northward as a warm front, and then a final cold front presses through early in the morning on Friday. Friday afternoon, we may still have a few scattered storms around, but we're looking to see drier weather by Friday night, it looks like, and that's perfect weather conditions for the Madison Regatta this weekend. Looks like we're going to dry out just in time, not a rain chance in sight. Lower humidity, by the way, this weekend, and highs in the 80s for Madison. And then the humidity, this tropical air will move kind of back in toward us there by mid to late next week. And of course, we'll see more of a thunderstorm chance once again mid next week. You'll see it in the 10-day in just a moment. I do want to get to Beryl here. Hurricane Beryl right now is off the coast, the western coast of Jamaica. and of course did some damage in the Jamaica vicinity today and near Kingston. Georgetown on the top left-hand side of your screen, that is the Cayman Islands. So Grand Cayman is going to brush very close to. They're under a hurricane warning right now. Hurricane warnings also in effect for areas of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. This is near Playa del Carmen. This is near Cancun. This is near Cozumel. Everybody who's ever been on a cruise ship in the Southern Caribbean knows what I'm talking about here. Those places could get hit with a Category 2 landfall there Friday morning super early. This thing gets back out into the Gulf again in the Bay of Campeche once we head towards Saturday morning. And it may very well make another landfall in Mexico, south of Brownsville, Texas, at some point as we go throughout Sunday as a Category 1 hurricane. So this thing's going to bounce up and down in intensity as we head toward the weekend and into early next week. The question is, what happens after this thing comes ashore? Where will the remnants go? Obviously, this part of this spaghetti model chart, each individual line representing a potential track for the remnants of this hurricane here, those show, I should say, that Memphis may be in play. These remnants might come close to us. We'll see. Still a long ways out. And yes, there's just as many of these spaghetti chart models here that show that this would get suppressed by a front a little closer to South Texas instead. We'll see how that goes. Again, that's very far into the future, like a week plus out. All right, the 10-day earliest alerts on your screen now, and you see, of course, the storm chances next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, with that tropical moisture returning. Temperatures will be in the 80s during that time. That's after a very hot start to our week early on Sunday and Monday. But again, humidity won't be as high. It won't be as bad as it has been. Okay, so that's the 10-day. You can get that on the Wave Weather app. I want to get back to the radar here, answer some of your questions, get to some of your comments here, just kind of guide you through some of these thunderstorms and very heavy rain pockets that are moving through Louisville now. Over 1,100 folks on our live stream right now on social media between Facebook, X, Twitch, YouTube. And of course, we are also streaming live on the Wave Weather Now live stream, which is Louisville's only 24/7 live stream here, and just celebrated its second birthday. We launched that in June of 22. All right, so here's the heavy rain. You'll see it in J-Town, Valley Station now. What we can do is pop on the MSD live rain gauges, updated every 5 minutes from our friends at the Metropolitan Sewer District here. And holy cow, already over an inch of rain down near the airport, 1.11. This is near Beachmont. That rain gauge right near where it says Louisville that just updated to 1.05, that's a rain gauge I maintain here at the station in the Wave Weather Garden. So we know that rain gauge is not clogged. It is working, and it is collecting every bit of 1.05 inches of rain here. Just within the last few minutes. Half inch of rain from Lanesville to Sellersburg, 0.55 roughly in those two spots. Valley Station, 0.52. Shively is right now at 0.81. I will say the rainfall rates have come down since these storms moved through the Jasper area a little earlier this evening. They had like 4 and 5 inch per hour rainfall rates. That's why folks were trapped in their apartments in Jasper, Indiana. They had multiple vehicles underwater. Streets were closed. It won't be that bad here in Louisville, but we are going to likely pick up well more than an inch of rain here, like we've already seen amongst the two rain gauges that are showing that now from the airport to downtown with our own quality controlled rain gauge here in the Wave Weather Garden. Boom. 5-minute updates. It just updated. So this is live data here showing you almost 1.2 inches of rain near the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport right now. Some folks are asking, how much rain did Jasper get? They got over 3 inches, over 3.5 inches of rain. Some areas north and west of English, Indiana picked up in excess of 5 inches of rain. We'll show that to you one more time here by panning over to the west. And you can see where that orange is near Birdseye, north and west of English. That's the 5-inch rainfall total. Again, that's Doppler radar indicated near 5-inch rainfall totals up that way. What we were showing you in Louisville were actual tipping bucket rain gauges there that sometimes can underreport by up to 10%. So those may be conservative rainfall instances or reports, I should say, from those rain gauges within the MSD network, and of course the one that we have here at the Wave Station here, the Wave Weather Garden. Let's get you back to the radar if we can here, and that's where we'll find where the storms are going. Next, folks are asking about their individual towns. It's hard to kind of get into all of that, but I'll pick a few big places here. E-Town, for instance, Weston's asking about that. It may take very well until after 10 o'clock to get those storms down to you there, Weston. Notice that these storms are starting to fall apart, especially west of Louisville. If I put on the animation here, you'll see that they are not doing so hot west of Brandenburg. And why is that? Well, there's a great reason. So if we stop the radar, and I'm going to draw something here, we'll explain why. So boom, right here, this line, that is the outflow boundary. That is the line of rain-cooled air, like a miniature cold front that's now moving out ahead of these storms. And that is happening in Brandenburg. That's happening near Hardinsburg. When that happens, the original thunderstorms kind of lose their muster, if you will, and they start fading away because the rain-cooled air undercuts the warm inflow into those storms. So whenever you see a rain, or I should say a thunderstorm, become outflowish like that, where the outflow boundary is kicking out ahead there, that's when you start to see the death of that thunderstorm. So that's what's happening to our west and why the radar is starting to clear up somewhat in the Brandenburg area compared to what it looked like before. With that said, additional thunderstorms will likely try to pop up right along this outflow boundary as it lifts the atmosphere here. So we'll likely see additional storm cells south and east of that as that outflow boundary kicks up the atmosphere and creates more of those thunderstorms. If you're in Fern Creek, if you're in J-Town, if you're in Middletown, you haven't seen the rain yet, but boy, here it comes. In fact, Middletown proper is now just seeing the rain. It's Eastwood who hasn't seen it yet. Places a little closer to Prospect also getting in on the heavy rain. But the good news is a lot of southern Indiana is now drying out, like Charlestown, New Albany, Jeffersonville, Clarksville, even here at the station in downtown Louisville, starting to see some drier weather prevail, thankfully, here. We'll continue to monitor, of course, these storms as they march to the south and east, because there is a chance we could see another flash flood warning or two. But based on this radar presentation, at least imminently, I don't think there's any place that's going to see that just now. These gaps that are forming in between the individual batches of storms because of the outflow boundary I just showed you here, like here's a gap here, there's a gap there. These are good. These are going to mean that the residence time of heavy rain over one location is going to be reduced. They'll get a break. Of course, the aquifers and the groundwater and all of the different infrastructure will be able to take that rain, drain it off, and prepare for the next round that might arrive early tomorrow morning into about midday tomorrow here, based on some of the data that we've been seeing here this evening. So all in all, no severe weather warnings for the Louisville area, nor for any of our counties. We're really not expecting any more severe thunderstorms out of this. What we are expecting is additional heavy rain that will continue to move south of Louisville here over the next little bit. Dawn says she's hearing it at her house right now. Dawn Haney says, I'm hearing it right here. Let's see. Sarah's like, any for Bardstown or Taylorsville? Well, look at the radar. It's just your north and west. It's coming in soon in about the next hour or so. Lots of lightning in the Fern Creek Highview neighborhood from Heather Wilkins. Not surprised by that. How much rain can E-Town expect here is what Weston is asking. And I would say E-Town, you might get like a ½ inch out of this, the way that this is starting to fall apart. But even something that doesn't look very impressive on radar because of the tropical atmosphere today will put down some heavy rain. So ½ inch, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm in Okolona, says Sherry Phelps, 1 mile from Stanford Field, and I can see the air traffic control tower from my front door, and it is a deluge outside. No shocker there. Some of the heaviest rain within Louisville right now is right over the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport there, the old Stanford Field, SDF. Stacy says constant rumbling of thunder here in Trimble County. Yes, that makes sense. The storms are basically south of you, kind of got gapped. You folks didn't really see a whole ton in Trimble County there. Got some brief downpours, but the heaviest of the stuff missed you to the south, and the most consistent rains did too. Let's see. Moving Mark says, you are one top-notch meteorologist, sir. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. We appreciate our viewers on YouTube, especially here. That is an emerging platform for us there. And, of course, on Wave Weather Now, which you can find in the Wave Weather app, the Wave app, the Wave Now app for your smart TV like Apple, Amazon Fire, and Roku TV. And you can watch us 24/7 there with Louisville's only 24/7 live stream. Let's see here. Gary says, listening to what you're saying and looking at the radar. Yep. that's kind of what we're doing this evening here, is just taking you all through the storms. Because of the flooding that we had in the Jasper area earlier, I wanted to kind of hit this hard and make sure that folks in Louisville knew well in advance with the Wave Weather app, because I sent like a bajillion push notifications to your phone here that this was getting ready to get real here in the city with these heavy rainfall rates. And I'm glad I did, because I mean, very heavy rainfall in a metro area like this, the tail end of an evening commute, is never good. And thankfully it was just that, the tail end of the commute. And folks probably went home early today in a lot of cases because of the holiday tomorrow. So many folks are off work. So that was very helpful in trying to just get folks off the roads when the rain is at its heaviest there. Devin Kellerman, 1.35 inches of rain in central Floyd County. Yes, that is a lot. Mark is from Alabama, but he loves the Wave Weather team. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Ralph Johnson's in here from Nicholasville, Kentucky. Sherry says, I keep forgetting the name change at the airport. Yeah, SDF stands for Standiford Field. Obviously, the Standiford family is who owned, the land that the airport now sits on. But the naming convention has shifted toward the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in the wake of the passing of Muhammad Ali, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Such a famous name from Louisville, just to pay homage to him, of course. Let's see. Aliza Chamberlain says, getting smacked pretty hard in Anchorage. Yeah, I imagine you are. That is some very heavy rain moving through. Again, I'll put this into motion here, this radar here, and you'll notice that we're starting to lose some of the reds on the radar here in the Louisville area. Those rainfall rates are coming down. So I think our flash flooding threat in the city is starting to lessen somewhat. Yay, that's a good thing. But of course, I just wanted to come on here this evening, kind of walk everybody through this as it moves through so that you can understand what's going on, because I know when we have a wave weather alert day, you've probably seen all the red branding that we have everywhere and behind me, in front of me, on the banner, etc. And then you hear thunder. You're like, okay, what's going on here? Well, this is mainly just rain. I think the severe weather threat's pretty much done. The atmosphere has been too worked over by this line of storms that's marched southward from southern Indiana into north central Kentucky here today. So that's some good news there. Kay says that Henry County has heavy rain. No shocker there, because it is just pouring right now, especially to your south and west in Oldham County. Dave and Gene Finney says, we got a quarter inch in Carrollton, but I was stuck in 71 on 71 for an hour and the rain poured heavy. When is there not a day when I-71 isn't like a complete parking lot? What is going on with that? I'll just leave that there. But 71, do better. Goodness. It's like the main artery from Louisville to Cincinnati. So many folks live along it, have to commute along it. And boy, it's like the traffic there is never, ever good, it seems like. You always have to like pre-plan your trip before going on 71 and have like 6 backup routes, right? Amy says, looks like Bardstown won't get hit too hard. You'll get some heavy rain, but I don't think you're going to see the sustained training of heavy thunderstorms like areas to our west have seen today out near Jasper, where they still have multiple flash flood warnings in effect out that way. I think Bardstown will get kind of the kid gloves version of this, which is good. Let's see. Let's see what else we got going on in the comments section here. Chris Bowles saying, what are the PWATs in north central Kentucky? I did see from the Storm Prediction Center today that we were closing in on 2 inches of precipitable water here in the Louisville area. It may have gone higher than that, but I was too busy tracking what was actually falling from the sky as opposed to what could have been falling from the sky in the middle of our newscast today to kind of peek at that. But I did see like a 1.79 and rising at one point there. Let's see, getting hammered here in Hurstbourne. Liam says, yes, absolutely you are. This is just plowing right on through the metro. Let's sneak a peek at our MSD rain gauges here. This is always kind of interesting to watch. Those tick upward, 1 1/4 basically at the airport now. Shively now reporting 1.15. Again, these are quality controlled rain gauges from the Metropolitan Sewer District, MSD, where so much of our water bill goes to, so they can maintain just more, obviously. These rain gauges here, they do a lot more than that, obviously. They run the whole sewer system for the city. But 1.07 at our own rain gauge here at the Wave Weather Garden is what we're seeing. And boom, I love how this data just updates on its own, because that's the power of automation. 1.37 now in Shively and 0.73 in PRP. That's a lot of rain. 0.95 just at the airport and just south of there too at this point. So I'll take you back to the radar here so that you can see what's going on. We'll probably stay on here for another probably 10-ish minutes, and then we'll hang it up for the evening, because I can only talk about heavy rain for so long. Looks like we do have a new flash flood warning, by the way, for Grant and Owen County at this time. This is just out of our viewing area. Yeah, very heavy rain, training of some thunderstorms up that way. This is a very rural area, thankfully. So this is like Mason, Kentucky. This is just south of Williamstown. This is well south of Dry Ridge here. This is like the southernmost part of northern Kentucky, the northern Kentucky Cincinnati metro, but very rural around that area. So that's what's going on up that way. Can't rule out an additional rogue flash flood warning within our counties here as we head throughout the remainder of the evening. Just assume if you're under a flash flood warning that you've got flood waters in your vicinity. So if you see it while you're driving, turn around, don't drown. You never know how deep the water is when you're driving around. You can't tell how shallow it is. So please turn around, don't drown. It's not worth it. Brad says, I live in Shelby County and we need the rain badly. Just wondering which way the rain is moving, hoping it hits here. Yeah, you guys will get some. It's on the way. It's basically already moving toward Raymond Hill at this point. Shelbyville, Simpsonville, you guys are going to get hit with this here shortly. So you're going to get some rain. You might not get as much as we got here in Louisville, but you'll get some. And that goes for folks in Shepherdsville, E-Town, Bardstown, Taylorsville. I think there's a pretty good shot of seeing rain within the next hour or two in all of these locations. But I will say that the rainfall rates are coming down, which is a good thing. Chris says it appears multiple cells between Tell City and Evansville could train south of the river within the hour. Yeah, I've been kind of peeking at that too, just seeing what's been going on out there. I will say that as scary as that looks, there is an outflow boundary that is keeping this, kind of propagating south as well. I'm not so sure that this is going to survive in this fashion, the way that it looks right now into our counties very far, but it is possible. There may be some gusty winds with this moving through the Tell City area too. We'll watch this. It is never good to have rain training over the same place again and again, but thankfully this is south of where the flooding was earlier in Du Bois County. This may very well clip parts of the southern Louisville metro, but if you'll see in the last couple of frames there of the radar, it is jogging south a bit, especially toward Tell City, starting to see somewhat of a southward deviant motion there, which is a good thing to get the rain kind of moving south with this outflow boundary. That outflow boundary, by the way, is located right about here. And as that pushes south, so will the rain, but you may have continued rounds of rain training behind it. They just wouldn't be as strong because that outflow boundary will continue to shift the focus of the rain to our south. So that's why we can't rule out another rogue flash flood warning or two in our areas this evening. That's why we're going to keep the alert day going until this sort of peters out this evening, which would probably be a little closer to like 10, 11 o'clock tonight, if not just a slight bit later than that in some places well south of Louisville. When's Bullitt County getting hit, says OGC Gamer. You guys are starting to get hit now. In fact, West Point's already getting hit. You'll see on the radar there. Shepherdsville within the next few minutes. I mean, there's a pretty decent burst of heavy rain now moving toward your area there in the Shepherdsville vicinity and Mount Washington within about the same time frame, probably about the next 15, 20 minutes. You guys are going to get slammed there with some very heavy rain, but it's not as bad as it once was, thankfully. Here in Okolona Highview, thundering, lightning, pouring with winds, says Danielle. And Danielle, absolutely. Jessica says, Buchel, power's flickering, rain, lightning, thunder. Wow, a lot going on in Buchel right now. What I can do is actually pop on our current power outage numbers. I don't think they're going to be impressive at all. Again, this is mainly rain, a little bit of wind, but we've had so much wind this year with these various severe weather events that we've gone through that I think our power grid is pretty healthy right now. They've picked up all the trees, and you'll see, yeah, it's not that big a deal. Henry County does have a few outages, 55 customers out. That's not too bad. But in a smaller county, that's 1%. That's a bigger percentage than it would be here in Louisville for that exact same number. 122 customers without power in Trimble County. Louisville, 646 customers out. On any given day, there's, kind of like a baseline of a few customers in and out, just as things happen through the day, maintenance, whatnot. So that's trending just a little bit above that baseline there. So, yeah, definitely a few power outages in Louisville, 78 customers without power in Clark County, Indiana. Here's Floyd County, only 2 customers out. Kind of surprised there with the storms that moved through there earlier, and about 12 customers out in Harrison County. Those live power outage numbers coming to us from poweroutage.us. Let's see. Ashley says, still waiting for it in Big Springs. I can hear some thunder. Yeah, it's going to be moving in. In fact, you may get hit pretty hard down there with this very heavy rain and lightning, just because of the heavier thunderstorms starting to move in from the west. The good news is I don't think the damaging wind threat is as high as it was even 5 minutes ago. You always get a little concerned when you see kind of this comma shape here on the radar. It means that you might have a bow echo with a rear inflow jet kind of pushing the wind out and strengthening the wind speeds at the apex of this bow, which would be right here. But seeing that the reflectivity values have come down somewhat in the last few scans is good. That means that this outflow boundary being to the south is choking off this line of storms from being as heavy as it could be here. Auburndale from my friend Andre Goatley. Heavy rain and thunder in Auburndale right now. OGC Gamer says rotation and funnel and bullet. No, that's not happening right now. There's not enough in the atmosphere wind-wise for that to happen. What you're probably seeing is what's called a false funnel. There's a lot of just little whirly-gigging looking scud cloud structures within these storms, especially along the shelf cloud here. That is not a funnel cloud. That's not a tornado. That's not what we're going to see tonight. So I just wanted to clarify that before folks got crazy about that in the comments, because that's not what's going on at all. We always get reports of false funnels and things like that. You really have to be trained to detect and cite a funnel cloud. They're very smooth. They're very string-like. They have to be, structured in a way that they don't just dissipate in like 2 seconds, right? So if you see a funnel cloud, you'll definitely know. But if you're like, I don't know if that's a funnel cloud or not, probably isn't the way that these storms are today. There's just not really a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere to get that going. Okay. Severe Weather Forecaster's Office, SWFO, all right, on YouTube saying, hey, Ryan, what do you think is the most likely area to see the bigger chance of seeing any thunderstorms I'm out chasing? Honestly, Bullitt County right now, for the moment, we do not condone individual storm chasing, by the way, here at WAVE, unless you are a professional or a degreed meteorologist. But with that said, the thunderstorms near the Shepherdsville area probably have a pretty good shelf cloud with them at this time. That would be kind of the neat spot to see some storm structure. But again, severe weather is just not really in the cards here. This is mainly a flash flooding and very heavy rain issue that we're seeing with these thunderstorms. And of course, that same YouTube account says no more slight risk. Well, that's not shocking at all. Let's see what that looks like. I'm just curious to see that update here. And bada bing, yeah, marginal risk of severe weather here. So, gust of wind, that's about all we'll see. 50-mile-per-hour gust of wind can't be ruled out with this. But for the most part, as we've been saying here for the last little bit, it's mostly the flash flooding and the heavy rain threat that we'll see here. Sherry says, hope you all stay safe and have a good evening. Celebrate responsibly tomorrow and this weekend. Please stop your fireworks by 11:30 p.m. We all want to get some sleep tomorrow night. Signed, people who work weird hours, including me and our entire weather team. All right. Cheryl's asking, what about Lebanon? Typically we don't do like place by place sort of forecasts here. Because there's so many hundreds of towns that people could ask us for, but I'll single you out here. Cheryl, it looks like you would be a little closer to like 11 o'clock or even midnight before you would see much because you're so far south there. Power flickering in Fern Creek from Trey Reddington. Yep, we did see a few power outages here in Louisville, 600 plus customers without power from LG&E. Let's see if we've got anything else. We might wrap it up here in just a second, just because we're starting to see these storms not be as much of a threat as they once were, especially from a severe weather standpoint. But they're going to look wild, like Travis is saying, looks wild in Shepherdsville right now. Yeah, because you've probably got like a shelf cloud moving through at the moment. It's going to look worse than it actually is, thankfully, with these storms. And those storms, as we look under the hood, if you will, on the winds here, don't really have anything to show, which is fantastic. And if we look for hail cores too, nah. You really want to see yellows and oranges. We see none of that on our hail core storm core scanner. That's hard to say, isn't it? So yeah, heavy rain continues in southern Jefferson County. A lot of Louisville, though, starting to lighten up on the rain. We'll kind of go round robin through some of our data here before we leave you this evening. So if you're just joining us, getting ready to hang it up here in just a second. Severe weather chance has gone down remarkably. This is mainly a heavy rain threat now. Might see a rogue flash flood warning or two in some spots, especially to our west here throughout the next couple of hours. I'm especially concerned about areas of northern Breckenridge County and northwest Meade County as these storms start to move in and maybe train across the same area over and over again. I will say, thankfully, there is a westward limit to that training, at least with this batch of storms, as the outflow boundary, which is basically a cold front that emanates with rain-cooled air from the storm, continues to push south. So that's kind of bringing the focus of the storms farther and farther south here over the next few hours as they push through our counties here. So we'll see some training. We may see some additional flash flooding. I don't think it's going to be what they had in Jasper earlier, but we need to still be on guard for that a bit. We'll keep the alert day going through the remainder of the next probably 3 hours or so, just to keep folks apprised of what's happening here. The rainfall totals here from MSD are what I want to pull up, and these are live 5-minute rain gauges, 1 and 2/3 of an inch of rain closer to the airport. That's 1.66, 1.44 in Shively. Our own rain gauge at the Louisville office here that we have of Wave is 1.09 inches in the Wave Weather Garden there. And of course, Fern Creek's just now starting to pick this up. Jeffersonville, about 3/4 of an inch. Folks out in Lanesville, about 0.57. 0.39 in Cordon. There may be some isolated higher totals around those gauges, but that's kind of what they're picking up at this time from a tipping bucket rain gauge standpoint. When you look at just the Doppler radar estimates alone here, though, for today, you'll notice the big rainfall area has been across northwest Crawford County, where they've picked up almost 5 inches of rain. Again, Doppler radar estimate on that, maybe more than 5 inches in some spots. This is an area that needed some rainfall desperately, that has been in a drought. So that's been good to alleviate some of the drought. But the problem is that you don't need all the rain all at once, because that's where we had the problems in Jasper earlier with, of course, the flooding. Folks were flooded out of their apartments. They had vehicles submerged, streets closed in Jasper, Indiana, and Du Bois County. That's halfway between Louisville and Evansville, by the way, if you don't know your geography. And that's why, of course, they saw that is because of the training thunderstorms that are still moving through the area now, but the rainfall rates just aren't as hefty as they once were, which is a good thing. We're going to still be here monitoring for flash flooding, sending out push notifications on the Wave Weather app if need be, if it starts to look like there's going to be a problem in a particular area. Answering a question here from the SWFO account on YouTube. No, I don't think there's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning out of this. This looks like it's mainly outflow winds that is controlling where these storms are going. Heavy rain, flash flooding, that's going to be kind of the problem here. My brown and crunchy yard in Taylorsville needs the rain, says Angela Vanderberg. Yes, mine needed some rain too. It was good to see some today. You just don't want too much rain, right? That's never good. Tons of rain at Patoka today with plenty of lightning. It's clear now. Yep, absolutely. You folks up there in Southwest Orange County are in good shape now, despite a flash flood warning still being in effect there. I think things are going to improve pretty quickly from north to south overnight tonight. It's just going to take some time to get these storms to march southbound. I'll put the loop on here. And of course, E-Town, Bardstown, Lebanon, you guys will see this a little later this evening after sunset. All right, guys, I've been a machine. I've been going since 5 o'clock today here on the air and, of course, on Wave Weather Now here. It's time for me to eat and continue to watch these storms. Again, have the Wave Weather app. I'm going to say this over and over again. Wave Weather app, custom forecast that we make by hand, push to you for 4 different zones in Wave Country. You can't see what those zones are, but we can, and we can push that data right to you. Custom push notifications. We type those up by hand. I've sent out probably half a dozen of those today. Send them, geographically targeted to areas that need to see them, like Jasper today, like Louisville today, just to make sure that folks know what's happening and what's coming their way. It's a crucial tool in any sort of storm or severe weather situation, which thankfully, really not a severe weather situation tonight, just a heavy rain and flash flooding situation for the remainder of the evening. That's it for now. Thank you for your continued loyal viewership on Wave Weather Now and our social platforms here. We really appreciate it. The more you watch, the more we can give you. And of course, having over 1,300 viewers on social media alone, not even counting our own dedicated live stream on wave3.com, that is a blessing for us to make sure that we can serve you the best by having the most resources being able to throw at you there. Hello, L.A. Davis. He says, thanks, Ryan, for the updates. You're welcome. He's an engineer here. We love him to death. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke. As necessary, we'll be with you on the Wave Weather app this evening with live push notifications if anything bad happens. And, of course, on the air at 11 tonight on Wave News. That's it for now. I'm Meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Have a good night. Stay safe. Well, guys, guess what? If you're still with us, I hope you are. Breaking news. I have to come back on here. Perfect timing. Flash flood warning just issued for the Louisville Metro here. So we're going to resume this. I thought I could get off the air and get some dinner. Maybe I can in a few minutes here. But here we go. Flash flood warning for the Louisville Metro area right now. Glad I was still streaming when this came in. Let's see what this entails. It was that exact area that we were talking about just a moment ago when it came to the 1 inch plus rainfall totals. And that's pretty much central Jefferson County. That's downtown. That's the airport. That's the Highlands. That's PRP, Shively, Portland, parts of West Louisville near Chickasaw Park, and of course Clifton and areas a little closer to Brownsboro Road and 42, just before you get to St. Matthews, also involved with this. So still 1,300 people on the line with us here. So I'm glad I didn't go off the air because here it is. Let's get you straight to what the rainfall totals look like with this flash flood warning, kind of underlay those so that you can see what we've had and what we're having. And there you go. That's the area of concern, especially in the yellow there, 1.67 inches of rain near the airport, 1.63 just south of that, 1.10 downtown Louisville. And that's in our wave weather garden rain gauge that we maintain. Zoom in on this again. I'm going to read the text of the warning here so you get a sense of what the issue is that the National Weather Service is warning for here with this flash flood warning. Again, this does not include all of Louisville nor all of Jefferson County at this time. This is just kind of the most populated part, though. Parts of southwest Louisville, west Louisville, center part of the city here, Highlands up toward Clifton, parts of St. Matthews, downtown, all under this warning. Let me make this window bigger for me here so I can read this to you here. Let's see, 8:56 p.m. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. Between 1 and 2.5 inches of rain have fallen. Additional rainfall amounts of 0.5 inch to 2 inches are possible with this. Andre Goatley, their friend that I went to high school with, says that his weather radio just went off for this. No surprise. It's a flash flood warning. Turn around, don't drown, all right? Make sure that if you've got friends or family that are on the roads this evening in Louisville, that they are not driving through flooded roadways here if they happen to see any. In this text of this warning, they do not say that they have actually seen any particular impacts that maybe have triggered the warning, but I bet there's something in NWS chat that says otherwise here. So let's see what kind of reports we have coming in from Louisville here. This point, wow, yeah, so nothing from the National Weather Service about if there's any like actual reported flooding in Louisville. Let us know, of course, in the comments section if you're still on here with us, because I know I kind of pulled a fake out there and went away and then came back, but the warning came up and I was just getting ready to hit the button to get off the air, but here we are again. Of course, that's how it works, it seems. Yeah, let us know if you have any flooding in your neck of the woods here, if you're in central Louisville under this warning here. What I will do is I'll pull up these MPing reports. This may be a source of where they did this. Otherwise, it's the rainfall totals that are doing this, because we've hit our flash flood warning criteria, because each area, and this is updated daily, has like an amount of inches of rain you have to see within a 1, 3, or 12-hour period to get a flash flood warning, so that the soils and the aquifer can't take that water anymore. It starts to flood. We may have probably just tripped that up. That's likely the reason for the warning here. May not be any individual report that did this here, but here comes the flood reports from MPing. And we do have one report, but it's outside the warning here. And you'll see that this is a report of street flooding. And this is just on the eastern side of Middletown near Eastwood. This is close to Valhalla Golf Course and Lake Forest, right along Shelbyville Road there. This is just east of that shopping center where like the Academy Sports is, up that way. But that's the only MPing flooding report we've had. MPing is the Meteorological Precipitation Identification Near Ground project. It's a compilation of public reports that you can send in to help us as meteorologists not only develop better computer modeling, but see where things are happening at by getting the MPing app in your app store. Just search for MPING. It's a kind of a nerdy little project that helps us out, especially in times of severe weather and snow. And you'll see all the flooding reports today out to our west in Du Bois County. So again, this is a flash flood warning. This is for the Louisville area proper. This is basically the western half of Jefferson County, maybe the western, 2/5 of Jefferson County are under this. I will say it's good that the heaviest of the rainfall is now trending out of that warning. So we're getting a bit of a break there that'll let sort of the storm drains and the aquifers and the soils kind of mop this up a little bit, get this to sink down, and hopefully we can get this stuff out of here pretty quickly. But again, if you're just watching us now, that flash flood warning does include the Louisville Metro, PRP, St. Matthews, downtown, Shively, Auburndale, just north of Okolona there. That is until midnight tonight. That is, I believe that says 800,000+ people, 800,000+ people in this flash flood warning here. They picked about the densest urban area here, of course, to issue the warning because when you get this amount of rainfall in an area that has mostly concrete and asphalt, there's not a whole lot of places for this rain to go to drain. So therefore, you're going to have urban flooding that's a lot easier to happen versus a rural area where you don't have as much of that and it can soak into the soils a little bit better there. So urban flooding, street flooding, that's the issue here in the Louisville area. I'm going to do a little round robin here on our storm reports and communications from the National Weather Service to see if there's been any sort of problems reported here in the city. So far, I have not seen anything. That's a good thing. I really don't see much at this time, which is good. Let's hope that continues. It looks like we do have, let's see. Yeah, that's from Du Bois County earlier. Again, just looking through the National Weather Service chat there to make sure I haven't missed anything to report back to you guys at this time. But so far, it is just, kind of us hitting our flash flood warning criteria for Louisville, triggering that warning there with over 1.5 inches of rain at now 3 separate locations, roughly hitting 1 inch or greater. The downtown gauge here that I manage with Wave Weather Garden is 1.10 inches, about 1 inch of rain at PRP. Across the river, Jeffersonville, about 0.74. And then it looks like Lanesville is just over 1/2 alongside Sellersburg. And then we do have a rogue 1.34 inch report, and that is actually Shepherdsville. I've kind of jutted that gauge up so we can see Shepherdsville because there is one down there that MSD maintains. They've had well over 1 inch as well, so it wouldn't shock me to see an additional flood advisory or flash flood warning potentially issued for parts of Bullitt County with this particular thunderstorm that's moving through. Also for Taylorsville, your time is coming soon, Cox's Creek, to see some of this very heavy rain. Mount Washington, here it is, one of the biggest cities in Bullitt County now getting hit with Mount Washington there. And then we'll just, kind of take the storm apart here. You'll notice that the winds are all kind of uniform in there. So no rotation or anything like that. We're not expecting that tonight. That's a good thing. And then let's see here. If we've got any hail in there, not really. This is just, again, very heavy rain that we're seeing moving through now southern Jefferson County and northeast parts of Bullitt County here with, this kind of thunderstorm that's moving through. The flash flood warning, of course, is the western side of Louisville. I do want to kind of update you on what's happening to our west. And this training area of rainfall, where rain's kind of going over the same area again and again and again, is concerning, but still there is enough propagation south and the rainfall rates aren't as impressive that I'm not super, super crazy worried about it, but I am concerned at least about some additional rainfall, at least here in Louisville. You can see a few downpours out to our west near Lanesville now, east of Corydon. And as those move into western Jefferson County, we'll watch very closely to see if there's any sort of additional aggravation of the flooding here. So that's why we might have the warning, is just because, hey, guess what? It's already rained 1.5 inches. We're meeting our flash flood criteria. There's more rain coming in from the west, even though it's not as much. We could still have some flash flooding here in the metro. Hence why the National Weather Service probably pulled the trigger on this for over 800,000 people here in the Louisville metro area. So if you want to get more on that warning, you can go to the Wave Weather app. We're going to continue to track this stuff, of course. And let me pop up our SkyTrack camera, by the way, in Simpsonville. You can see the rain is now moving into the Simpsonville area down there in Shelby County. This is at the outlet shops of the Bluegrass. That rain is going to be very heavy as it arrives in western Shelby County. You can see in the distance there, just to the left of one of those smaller spires, what we have in terms of that rain shaft there. That rain shaft is now moving into western parts of Shelby County there. So that's just kind of a look at our SkyTrack camera there as we see the rain moving into parts of wave country that hasn't quite seen all of that rain just yet. Give you one final view of the radar before we finally get off the air here this evening. I know I gave you one false attempt to try to get off of here before that flash flood warning came out. I'm glad I have those alerts on my phone to tell me when that's going to happen here so we can give you guys the earliest alert as well. But yeah, here come those storms into the Simpsonville area. You see the very heavy rain, especially just to the west of there. And to answer everybody's question, if you're just joining us, no tornadoes. Damaging wind threat is very low this evening, mainly a heavy rain threat. So Cody, no tornadoes tonight. You can sleep soundly, but just heed any flash flood warnings. Turn around, don't drown. Flooding is a major killer because folks are overly confident they can make it through floodwaters, and that just isn't the case. You can never tell, especially at night, how deep your floodwaters are that you're going to drive into. So don't do it. Turn around, don't drown. That is our main message there. All right, guys, for the second attempt, and hopefully the final attempt of getting off the air here this evening, I'm Wave Meteorologist Ryan Hoke. We'll be on the Wave Weather app this evening, sending custom push notifications if anything happens flash flooding-wise in your neck of the woods. All right, everybody, that's it for now. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Have an excellent night, and please stay safe.